Christopher.
Hey, Dad.
Good.
I was trying to get something sorted tonight, but I couldn't get it.
That's right. Tomorrow's fine. Tomorrow lunch is good. Okay.
Tomorrow's fine, yeah.
See you tomorrow. Okay. Church time. Good. All right, everybody. This is Norman Kochnick here, and I'm here on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. My son's just telephoned me now. In fact, the reason why he rang me, it's my birthday today. So I have had a birthday today, June 10th. I'm going to be going, meeting tomorrow for lunch. I've had some nice times today. Yes, it's been a pretty good day for a birthday, Friday, the 10th of June. But we're here today to talk to you about the preview to the second test between India, sorry, not India, of course not India. Let's get between England, let me get that right. Between England and New Zealand. Yes, England and New Zealand. England, of course, won the first test at Lords. The next test, which is the second test today, starts in under an hour's time. And I have about, what can I say? An hour before the play starts. And, of course, join Richard Vernon in a short while. David Gravely might be here as well. Baran Marani and Max Merchant Sheikh will be here. But I'm here by myself at the moment. So this is my birthday. But we'll be talking today about the the exclusion, firstly, of none other than Kane Williamson, who is out of the side. He has COVID. He's apparently the only person that actually tested negative to the COVID test, and that left him out of the side, which is very disappointing for New Zealand. They brought in, and people are saying that prediction is that both teams will go seam up and no spin on the Nottingham pitch, and it'll be a tight affair. England top order worry me. I think so does New Zealand top order now that Williamson's out as well. So we're going to see some pretty interesting opening partnerships from both sides. The question I've got is who will actually open for New Zealand now that Williamson's out. They may drop Will Young down to number 3, and in fact allow the opener to come in, which will be a player that has played a bit of the high-level cricket of Rutherford. Rutherford's the player they're expecting to. Let's look at the preview here. They're also saying, or Marcus Munchie's actually saying there's a good toss to lose. The fact the team news, interestingly, New Zealand have got obviously Tom Latham there, who will now captain the side in place of Kane Williamson. So Tom Latham is to be captain. I think about it, number 1 in the order. Hamish Rutherford is the player expected to come into the side in place of Williamson, which will mean a reshuffle in the batting order. I would have put Devon Conway back to open, but he's not. He's staying at number 4. Good evening. How are you, Paul? With Latham in the side, Hamish Rutherford is the other opening batsman will come in. Will Young will drop down to 3. Devon Conway will go into as number 4 as per schedule. Henry Nichols has scored. He's played very well as well. Darryl Mitchell, we know, got the century against England in the first test, and Blundell got a very good 96. Jameson, Southey, Wagner's expected to return with Bolt, so they're going to get rid of their spinner, Ajas Patel, and actually opt for Neil Wagner, which I think will strengthen New Zealand's bowling line, to be very honest. But the batting will be somewhat weakened by the inclusion of Hamish Rutherford, Will Young, and Conway, without the likes of Williamson, and for that matter, without the likes of Ross Taylor, too, who's being missed. England is much more settled, of course. They have got Alex Lees and that Crawley in the opening spots. Ollie Pope, again, will return to 3. Root, Bairstow, Stokes as captain. Ben Folkes as keeper. Matthew Potts will keep his position. Richard Vernon reckons I've got the New Zealand team very wrong. You mean in terms of batting order? I don't know. I think that's what they're expecting. Wait to see. Jack Leach, whether he plays or not, whether they're not going to opt for spinners, will be the interesting one. And of course, Broad and Anderson are there as well, so they may opt another medium pacer. So with Williams withdrawal, New Zealand faced a conundrum due to the loss of de Grandhomme to his heel injury. So de Grandhomme is out. Henry Nichols, who was recovering from a calf injury, was then interrupted by a positive COVID test. He's the one they're expecting to come in. Mitch was not on bowl much either. Despite de Grandhomme's lack of pace, Asia Patel may be vulnerable. So the loss of de Grandhomme and Williamson in particular, obviously Ross Taylor already, leaves New Zealand vulnerable, I would say. Will England, Australia whitewash both T20s and one-day series on? Well, Paul, I have to argue that Australia, having won the first two matches there, the first one very convincingly, the second one probably not as convincingly, will probably win those T20s 3-0. The ODIs, it probably will fall into the same pattern, unfortunately. The Russian Dickwell will get a Guernsey there for the New Zealand side. Sorry, the New Zealand side, the Sri Lankan side. We'll wait and see whether that difference makes much, and I think it should. And Paul Newman really hopes New Zealand will win this match. Well, and New Zealand have done well without Williamson before. They've had Latham take more control, but they've got a bit of a disjointed. Without de Grandhomme now, Nichols returns. Hamish Rutherford goes in place of Williamson. Yeah, something's lacking in their batting order, but Darryl Mitchell certainly proved to be quite a useful player to have. So yes, we've got some 52 minutes before the game. This match, of course, in Nottingham, said to be a bowler's paradise. Anderson Broad will be in their element. Should be pretty good for them. Good toss to lose, they're saying. Yeah, who wants to bat first? I don't think I'd want to bat first, but normally you do bat first. Yes, well, there's a lot of discussion about Matt Parkinson in that match. I don't think he was very penetrative at all. Having come in for Jack Leach, England may opt not to have any spinner. It looks like that may well be the case. Okay, so Jack Leach has a mandatory to coach the concussion, which he's recovered from. Not happy about the Blues losing on Wednesday. Well, nor was I. Frustrating sort of match. You can't knock a man like good old Cameron Munster. He was amazing. So Richard Vernon is saying that England is actually unchanged with Leach on the side. Well, that's all right. So they don't need to change, do they, really? But New Zealand has had two forced changes. In fact, you would argue a third because Wagner's bound to come back in. Henry Nichols is back and Rutherford's in for Williamson. So Henry Nichols is in the place of course, de Grandhomme. Darryl Mitchell didn't bowl, but may well be seen as a bowling option here this time around. The bowling attack there, I really think Neil Wagner will make some difference. Paul Newman is very good with a hot tea. I'm actually not having hot tea. I'm having like a what do they call it? Cup of soup. Cup of soup. I keep it warm. Just holding it. My God, is it? Yes, and there's also, of course, another match going on as we speak. Well, not quite yet, but there's Sri Lanka A versus Australia A is being played. We've also got Pakistan versus the West Indies in their second ODI. Pakistan quite heavily thumped West Indies in the first. They both got over 300, but Pakistan did it with ease. With Baba Azam, hit another century, hit another Mangas. Rumours are that Bracewell is playing, no Wagner, no Rutherford, Nichols fit. Or Bracewell plays, that means the batting order is one less. Richard Ver's got some, injury, head hit century. Travis head hit a century. What for Australia A? So look. Russian Nichols not at 36. He having the batting for Sri Lanka, which I'm very happy to see. Yeah, Travis hit a century. Fully. 34, Matt Renshaw 2, Marcus Harris 31, Nick Madison, Henry Hunt, who was captain. Aaron Hardy Mark Stagetti, Todd Murphy, Matthew Kerner, and Tanvir Sanger. How many catches did Dickwell took? A few. For Dickwell's opening, they're batting for the Sri Lanka A side. He's 36 not out with Kamindu Mendes. I would love to see the Russian deck up well only opens the batting. This isn't an ODI. What is this? This is a form of. This is a unofficial ODI. Okay. See, Sri Lanka only need 247 from 40 overs, which means more than run a ball. Head scored a good century against Park bowlers. Yeah, I'd argue that. Australia should use bench strength for the ODIs. Well, teams don't necessarily want to use so-called bench strength. They want to play their best side all the time. So, yeah, I'm always Australia will whitewash this tour well. They're going on that direction. Tests will be interesting. I think it'll be slightly tighter. But New Zealand and England is a different story. There's no bench warming or no whitewashing going on there, I can assure you. Stark engineer, he cut the webbing of his fingers on his heel, or on his spikes of his heel. Hopefully he comes back. It might take a few more days more than we expect. He might be kept for the Test series more than the ODIs. And the ODIs, let's be honest, the ODIs are less important than the T20s because we got a T20 World Cup this year. And of course, the Test matches do add up to World Test Championship. So, in the year of an ODI World Cup, as a 50 over World Cup, then we'll see more significance there for that. Yeah, it's a long road for Sri Lanka to get back in the good books. I think we've got a lot of players they need to sort out. I don't think it's possible for Sri Lanka to win a single game against Australia. Uncle Mike, well, you wouldn't think so. Maybe the Test might be an interesting scenario. But we might slacken off in the last ODI. We slackened off in that second T20. We won it, but we were also pretty slack in our batting. We got across the line, but not that easily. Are you Australian or Englishman not coming live in front of us? Well, Australia-Sri Lanka match, I'll be really honest with you, it was extremely late, and I was very tired. I wasn't 100%. My mother wasn't well, so that's the reason why Subhash Chandra Bharata. It was pretty hard to come in past midnight for that. And I don't really. Australia in T20s against Sri Lanka at home at the moment aren't as exciting as a Test match. There's no way you can compare Tests to a T20. I'm sorry. Time is a bit better too. We saw Australia young guns not a problem against spinners. Yeah, Test was more important than that one days. I agree. So I think a match between Australia and Sri Lanka get smashed is not much fun to be talking about. England, New Zealand, however, is a close series. The update on the Stark injury was actually more serious than you think. It's quite a severe cut on the webbing of his hand from the spikes, I believe, and it's going to take a little bit of time to heal. And it's his bowling hand, if I'm not wrong, as well. Interesting how you say so this has only had 150 and 40. That's not good, is it? Aslam or Alaikum, Sir Norman. Thank you. Azhar Mirza. We've also got the Pakistan versus West Indies match, which was quite a blockbuster. And Babar's done a magnificent century. And Shai Hope also scored a pretty wonderful century. So, a lot to be said about that match indeed. So, you'll notice I'm posting a lot of interviews at the moment. So what are you talking about? Many of the Australian interviews I'm actually pursuing. Nanda Kishore Kurapal, how are you? Green, better than store. Cameron Green probably is in an overall sense. I would not go far from saying that. I would say that's pretty all right.
Cameron Green probably is.
I'd say you certainly would be. Let's just pull up. What are we pulling up here? Community posts. Amazing videos. Even Steve Smith has his video, or at least his house on the market. Too much money, more money than you can imagine. Cameron Green, definitely a future star. I don't think he's a future star. I think he's a current star. I think he's doing well right now. Let's not doubt that. Hope the Kiwis can fly at Trent Bridge. Let's hope so. I'm going to post a photograph of me playing it. Where is that? That's at, what ground was that again? It was in Candy. Asigiria. Asigiria. Nice spot. Should get some help here. Asigiria. I think that's how I pronounce it. Let's look at that later. All right. Where's Christopher buckled that? I don't know. He's been talking to me offline quite a bit every day, and his father has too. Especially not played T20s, I agree. Bob was on a 1780, I was at the age of 2, as an age of 27, average 60. He's wonderful. I don't know who are you. Every time you are coming live in England and not coming live in England. Regard to Rahela, I'll actually explain that. If you listen to Sebastian's comments before, I couldn't make it. My mother was not well. It was extremely late, and that's the reason why. Where has Chris Vernon hiding? Uncle no one's checked. Ashdeep Singh played. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the thought. I would agree with that. Kanjuri beat 10 dogs for most runs. He's going to play a lot more matches to do that. Who should replace Smith in the T20 spot? Oh, there's plenty of players. Big Dermot, quite a few. It says pretty good glow close. Hi, bro, as in hi, Ravi Kurma. Hey, look, there's a lot to be said. Buckle, just. I don't think Joe Ridd will beat. He'll go close. He'll go close. He'll keep playing a lot of cricket. He'll have the same level of success he's had of late, which has been quite phenomenal. Let's be honest. Banner. Let's get a banner up, shall we? Oh, New Zealand. It's the second test in Nottinghamshire. Has anyone been in Nottinghamshire? I have. It's a beautiful place. Really, most of England is. Most of England is quite beautiful. Nottingham. I shouldn't say shire. Oh, yeah. Yeah, New Zealand, the second test at Nottinghamshire. Nottingham, I should say. I'll get it right. All right, so what's going to change for the next T20? So they need to get all their players back. I have to play them. Smith's just not in that same form anymore. There's so many times your mother Yes, I know Pragati Rail. It's just someone when they're in their 90s, it happens. Sebastian T20, wonderful new house for Smith. Saw the pictures, did you, Uncle? Okay. Well, people are criticising Shreyas Iyer a lot for his drop cases, so Van der Dusen. Sometimes it happens, Norman. Do you think people are being too harsh on the Iyer? Yes. Sophie Baccaria, I think they are being too hard on him. Absolutely. I would definitely say much too hard on him. Much too hard on him. So we've got England versus New Zealand. We've got Pakistan versus West Indies. Tomorrow, Australia versus Sri Lanka. And obviously, South Africa and India are floating around as well. The women's been rather quiet. I think the South African women played in Ireland just the last few days. We're going to. Okay, so Travis Head is a perfect place for Warner. Pragati Rahela, I don't know what that's going to necessarily happen. We'll wait and see. The Russian Dickweller, he should be factored into this. I'd like to see him factor in. Let's get some power here. Just bring some power. Hate to run into pound midway through the show, wouldn't you? It'd be terrible. Let's have a look here. There we are. Okay. Person ruled out due to COVID, correct? Yep, sure. So, what, Jay, that's correct. Why do we see so few multilateral tournaments series nowadays? Only World Cups or Asia Cups? How many? It's just time and money. Probably more time than anything else. Very, very sad. I agree. I'd like to see them too. Creates a bit more interest. I think Ravi Bishnoi should surely come into the next match, and if not, run Malik Arshdeep Singh should surely be. Malik, I certainly would say so. Arshdeep Singh, not sure. Ravi Bishnoi, well, in place of who is the question? In place of who is the question? So, let's have a look. We've got Nottingham. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. The last I saw was Nichols has hit a 50. Hasn't scored a test century. He scored 20 odd 50s, but not a test century. He's batting in the opening spot, which he's very accustomed to. So Ravi Bishnoi in place of Akshar Patel. Maybe will be. I don't think India will go through wholesale changes. They just need KL Rahul back, and obviously Rohit Sharma, and even Kohli. So Roshan Dickwell is 6 into 6. He's 51 to 41 balls. He's looking very strong. We're going to see him score 100 because he's facing a pretty ordinary attack, let's be honest. I think Test series are going to be on one side because I saw Head, Green, Renshaw batting there, and their problems with this. Well, Head and Green make Renshaw's not quite yet an automatic Test replacement. So I have to wait and see. So, yeah, Sri Lanka, looking pretty solid. I mean, Travis, they got 100, yes. Aaron Hardy got 58. But at the moment, if Norris and Dickwell keeps going, he's on 51 not out. What do they make of Rishabh's captaincy so far? I think been pretty sound, really. Which one better would you take in your team? Peak, Smith, Peak, Kohli, and their peaks, or Kohli, and their peaks. I think Indian team lacked pace to push that. Yeah, they had it all their way and way. Will Wagner play today? Who will play? I think Wagner will. I think he will. Chahal, Akshar don't have enough mystery in them to cause any flutters. Yeah, they're a bit better bowling than you're giving credit for, to be honest. Which one better would you take? I've already said that I would say Kohli. Definitely Kohli. The toss is 5 minutes away, guys, for this test match. Australia versus Sri Lanka. Yeah, Wagner must play. I agree. Are you going to live to? Yes, I am. If you look, it's there. Because it's a Saturday, I'll be able to spend more time staying up. Okay. Otherwise, it was just too much for me. Wagner must play. I agree. Big question is, I think Wagner's a match winner. I really do. I can see he's winning the second T20 World Cup. I could wait. Yeah, I think they've got a very good chance. It is too harsh to criticise Pup. The first time he was doing a long weekend, well, it is kind of. Why you don't like Steve Smith? Subhash Chandra, it's not about not liking Steve Smith, but he's just not at his best anymore. He's past his best in a short format. He's got to stick to one format, that's Test cricket. He's got to stick to his Test cricket. I think it's too harsh not to criticise. I've already said that. Yep, we already talked about that. Why are you repeating the message? So with some 4 minutes before the toss, eagerly awaited toss. In England at the moment, it is, what is it now? It's fast approaching 10:30 a.m. Whereas in Australia, it's 7:26 p.m. And then in there was, getting close to 3 p.m. Why isn't Canberra getting a spot in the T20 team? Oh, let's see. He's just broken through the test lineup. Let's keep him there. Let's not overload him. He's still a young kid. Yeah, Smith should definitely stand out. Yeah, I agree. Win the toss and bat first. Well, they were saying it's a good toss to lose, which would imply that it's probably not a good thing to win a toss and bat first. It didn't work for New Zealand in the previous match, did it? They were out pretty cheaply, and then England didn't score many more runs, but England on the back foot there. And sorry, New Zealand on the back foot. But you would generally win the toss and bat first, yes. I'd agree with that. Aiden Markham is corona positive. Oh, there you go. That's why he did not play in the first 2 weeks. Okay. Australia improves their selections, like picking us until I think it's when they will come. Fair call. Sees Mr. The anchor will be the anchor in 2020. I don't know about that. You see any changes in the second T20? You mean the third T20? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Uncle Nate? The what match are you talking about the second T20 for? Are you talking about what's the third here between England and New Zealand test? Australia Sri Lanka is the third as well. That's the second for the India versus South Africa. Do I see any change? Well, if they can bring back some of the injured players, I don't know whether Carl Rahul's ready. I don't want to change too much. They generally don't overdo changes after just one match. Let me give them a bit of a break. India, South Africa, I thought so. Is Tim eligible to play for? I think he is. It just hasn't quite got there yet. You see any changes? Okay. Do you see Green playing in ODIs? Perhaps. Can they bounce back in the second T20? Of course they can. So for Bukhara, of course they can. We'll definitely see them come back. Nobody can drop a player like Steve Smith's class and such. In Test cricket, yeah, but in the short form, why not? He's not getting Guernsey in the IPL. That says a lot, doesn't it? If Steve Smith's not getting Guernsey in the IPL, that means he's not getting Guernsey in T20 cricket. There you go. So we've got some minute or so before the toss. Russian Dick Wells hits another 4. He's on 57 not out. I want to see him get a big century. Really do. Really do. On your favourite player, Trevor said scored 100 against Sri Lanka. Yeah, but again, Sri Lanka A. What changes do you see in England's starting 11? Well, none, actually. Was Tim David Australian citizen? Apparently he is. But he was Singaporean born. But he is an Australian citizen. You would have to think so. So we've got, it's going to be interesting. It's very concerning. Tim David is an Australian citizen. I've got no doubt about that. Let's just see if I can find out what's happening with the toss. Someone's wishing me many happy returns of the day. Not sure who this is. Some here they are. Thank you. Winifred Doris same as saying happy birthday. Would I try leaving some Felicia as an option? Well, Buckle, I don't think there's anything wrong with your suggestion at all, to be honest with you. But is it going to happen? Oh, David Graven is here. Hello, David.
Norman, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I hope you weren't waiting for too long. I wasn't concentrating on the people on there. But what do you think of this? What do you think of this match? There's been a few changes to New Zealand lineup by the looks of things.
Yeah, they're a bit on the back foot, aren't they? So I don't think they've probably played too many test matches in the last 4 or 5 years where they've made so many mistakes that they did in that first test match.
True.
As we spoke before, when you've got the top 4 that they managed 50 runs between them in 2 innings, then you ain't going to win too many matches doing that. And they nearly did. So what I was asking for, which was a quiet morning, transplanted to be the same, which it was.
He was spot on, David. He was certainly spot on. We're getting a weather forecast that said it's fair for the first 4 days. And Toss England, I think there may have been a toss just occur. Let's have a confirmation here. I'm not sure whether it's actually happened. Richard Vernon, who'll be on shortly, has just said that it has been. Yeah, England have chosen to bowl. So that's yet again New Zealand batting first.
Yeah, well, it will swing, definitely. It is a swing ground, as Australia found out when Stuart Broad waded through them. Yeah, so yeah, they've left. They're not preparing wickets going to spin. So I don't know what the New Zealand team is. Have they left a spinner out or not?
Well, we're waiting to find out exactly who's in and who's out. There was discussion that Neil Wagner was coming in, but we'll wait and see. We'll get waiting for that confirmation. It's not yet been confirmed. In terms of Nottingham, as we would know, what is it better known as? We don't normally call it Nottingham. We call it what? What's better? Trent Bridge, exactly. I love the ground. I think it's a fantastic ground. It's always been a very, well, you could argue, a bowler-friendly pitch.
Margaret got 258 not out against the West Indies there. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Now, Richard Verner's getting some insider goss here. He's just told me that Matt Henry's in the side, Bracewell and Nichols will play. So that means they've strengthened. They put Bracewell in place of de Grandhomme, who has a heel injury. And Nichols has come in as well. That means they'll shuffle the batting order to somehow compensate for the loss of Williamson. And Matt Henry's in, and I'm guessing he could well be in the place of Matt Henry as opposed to Wagner. So they're looking at even more pace.
So Wagner's not playing?
It doesn't look like it. If Matt Henry's in, you would think he's come in potentially for Ajaz Patel.
Yeah, they don't need to spin at that. It might spin, but then as I was alluding to before, that without Williamson to bowl some sort of off spin, I don't know who else in that team bowls spin at all. Actually, so
I think you're right. Well, Daryl Mitchell bowls, but I don't think he bowls spin.
No, he's supposed to Beamers. So
Beamers.
No, Beamers.
Okay, you said Beamers. I thought you were being facetious with his bowling and saying he bowls Beamers.
No, he batted really well actually.
He batted sensational.
Saw him play for Middlesex last summer, and he you don't want to. He obviously tried his best, but he didn't look like a crackerjack overseas player, certainly. So, yeah, but I think that's the way for them to go. And in some ways, Tom Latham has probably captained the side more than Williamson has in recent times. So the captain coming in and out and still struggling for form is that stat that Chris put on the website about who's got Joe got 900s and an array of top leading players haven't got 100 between them. So
yeah, it's amazing actually. So England are as per program. They haven't changed one player, have they? They've got the same 11, which is commendable.
Yeah, well, they win. When you win, that's what happens. So
exactly.
But it wasn't a crushing victory. So they'll have a really good atmosphere in the dressing room. They realise that that the game at certain times could have gone either way, but they won pretty comfortably in the end. But they knew that actually at various stages, if New Zealand had broken through to get to the bowlers, then that would have been a situation. But that's the way the game is. So yeah, I see England. They'll be under slightly different pressure, Norman. I think that people would expect them to win, particularly without Williamson playing. And the two main bowlers, Bolt and Southey, who were fantastic bowlers, have just come out of bowling with a white ball in the IPL. So it takes some adjusting to do that. So,
well, again, it's confirmed the 4 seamers, no spinners. Well, Bracewell can bowl with a spin apparently, but Matt Henry is in for Patel. Henry Nichols is in for Williamson. Michael Bracewell's in for Colin de Grandhomme. So they're the replacements that we can
Right.
see. Bracewell can bowl a bit of spin apparently, but he's not known to be a spinner predominantly. So that's where having Matt Henry, Jameson, obviously Bolt and Southey, that's a pretty strong bowling attack.
No, Matt Henry, he's got serious wheels, Norman, so don't worry about that. So,
yeah, certainly. Good
and
testing.
they've definitely got the swing attack, so they've definitely got Southey and Bolt. They just need enough runs, don't they? But
That's it.
Yeah, so
the acid test will be the fact that they're going to be batting first, and they'll have to set the tone of the match. And look, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Latham himself as the opener. Who will he open with? I'd say they'll probably stick with Will Young and Devon Conway. Might go
Will Young used to play club cricket in Bristol, actually. So
yeah, good
and,
player.
Yeah, they're both good players. You know, you would expect Conway and Young and Latham all to trouble the scorers a bit more than they did in the first Test match. So,
as we talked about, obviously Ollie Pope as well. I'd love to see them both go well, wouldn't you? That'd be lovely to see those two young players play.
Yeah.
Those.
But all the top three in each side they're not under pressure. They just like to get more runs more than anything else. So I think people expect them to be not walking wickets, but to be slightly on the back foot. So
Latham as captain, Will Young, Conway to 3, Henry Nichols to 4, Mitchell 5, Blundell 6. That's not necessarily a bad batting order. It's just that they're lacking that Williamson.
Yeah, they're lacking a world class player coming in.
That's true.
But he's still trying to find his way, having had a really serious injury. So
that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Michael Bracewell to comment, but de Grandhomme's a loss. There's no doubt. But the bowling strength is there. Jameson, Southey, Henry, and Bolt. So it's going to be pretty damn good. Now we've got a question here. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Just delivering coffee.
It's Norman's birthday.
He's very fortunate, isn't he? Dave is very fortunate.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Now, we have...
What relation is he to all the other Bracewells that played?
Great question. I don't have a clue, to be honest. I don't have any knowledge of whether he is an actual relative or not. I will find that out. Anyone may... I don't have any...
I think he's a relative of a bloke that I played against, who was a wild seamer, bowled really quickly, who played in the sort of, I would say, late 70s, early 80s. He might be a relation of him.
Well, I'm going to go about finding that out during the course of this discussion. I have a question here, which is not related to this match, but Subhash Chandra Bharat has asked Norman. Now, Richard Vernon saying Bracewell's definitely a relative, but of who, Richard? Tell us who.
Which Bracewell?
Which Bracewell? John Bracewell has been a few. Norman, please ask David who is his favourite Indian batter of all time.
Well, having bowled Sachin Tendulkar to his first 100 in the UK when he played for Yorkshire, I would say my favourite player was Dilip Vansarkar, I would say.
Right. Very stylish batsman. Fantastic batsman, actually. All right. So,
and also a delightful person as well. So,
well, that adds to it. Only adds to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask.
There's a few to choose from, Mike. So.
Oh, there is. I'm just getting Richard to do a bit of homework for us to find exactly who he's a relative of.
I would have been in that conversation. So, Tendulkar. I did actually manage to bowl Azharuddin to a 200 as well, so I saw a lot of him bat. So he actually batted very similar to Zahir Abbas, Azharuddin, and
really?
as did Hashim Amla, sort of this like bottom hand that acted a bit like a piston. So Azharuddin was just extraordinary in terms of play. He could hit an out-swinging half volley off stump, straight past square leg like a rocket.
You want to hear about? I've just been given Richard's given me a summary of Michael Gordon Bracewell, born in February 14th, 1991. So he's not too young. He's 31, from Masterton in Warrapara. Left-hand bat, and his normal position in the field is keeping, but he's also bowls a bit of right-arm off-break, top order bat. Now his relations. Now wait for it. I think he's related to the whole bloody lot. BP Bracewell is his uncle. JG Bracewell is his uncle. MA Bracewell is his father. DW Bracewell is his uncle. And DAJ Bracewell is his cousin. He's related to the whole bloody lot.
No, the one that I was referring to is Brendan Bracewell, because he played for New Zealand.
Right.
So I think the early 80s, something like that, as a tearaway.
That's his uncle.
Bowler.
That's his uncle.
Yeah.
My God, there are no less than 5 Bracewells that have been related to him.
No, there's a few of them. So.
I mean, there's John Bracewell, certainly one. My gosh. It's the real...
Didn't John Bracewell have a brother that also played quite high-level cricket?
Well, I'd say that could be D.W. Bracewell, could be him.
Doug Bracewell, does that sound about
Correct,
right?
correct. Yep, that's correct. So Bracewell's both John and Doug. Oh my God, there's a whole range of. Even his father was involved. I've got to look at the other what their roles were. See what his father is all about. I can't tap on it.
Have a look at his uncle, Brendan Bracewell. Put that into your mean.
Quite incredible. It's just it seems like no less than 5 relatives that have played the top level.
Because I think he scored England sometime in the early 80s or something like that.
Let me have a look. Brendan, you said Brendan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bracewell, let's have a look. New Zealand cricketer. Yeah, Brendan Paul Bracewell, former New Zealand Test cricketer, born in Auckland. He's actually 62 years of age, right arm medium. Does that sound like him?
Mm-hmm. That's a bit more than medium when he played, but
yeah, he played 6 tests. Took 14 wickets.
Did he tour for England? Did it say in that where he toured?
It doesn't say at a glance where he toured, but only had 6 test matches. So there's John Bracewell, Doug Bracewell, Michael Bracewell, and a young. There's quite a plethora of them. My heavens, that's incredible, isn't it? That's rather a forceful.
Well, if you have the same, you can have the same thing in Barbados if you put in the word Elaine. Because there's a few of them. So.
But I mean, and I often ask this question: how many father-son combinations were there? I mean, Chris and Stuart Broad are certainly a pairing.
Yeah. Cowdrey,
Compton.
No,
I
don't think. No.
There's a few in Pakistan. Muhammad.
That is more the Compton who played for England is more related to a Compton who emigrated to South Africa,
right?
Who I think is like sort of a cousin of Dennis or whatever. So definitely Cowdrey is the most famous one in the UK.
Yeah, but I mean we have obviously the Chappells with their grandfather Victor Richardson, but not a hell of a lot father. So I mean the Marshes, Mitch Marsh, and I came from Jeff Marsh, of course. Sean Marsh came from Jeff Marsh. So there's a few, but not as many as you would think. Anyway,
no.
Now we did talk a bit about how Bubba Azam's another one who scored centuries of late. Roots just killed everybody. But do you think? Williams has got issues with his elbow. It's one. Steve Smith's got to work his head out right after all the sandpaper gate stuff. He went close to getting a century in Pakistan. But Virat Kohli, do you think he's going to score more sizable runs?
Well, you and I have spoken to him. I've always said to him, I think he's very close to burnout.
For sure.
He's no longer captain. He's got a family. I think his priorities have changed, Norman. Not to say that they won't come back. It's difficult, and only the individual know if they take a break from the game whether they still have the hunger to come back. Because he had a phenomenal hunger to bat. and he just doesn't seem to. And it's difficult to judge in an IPL tournament because it's just T20 cricket, which is, I think he's done really well out of it, but he's never the range of shots and the way that people hit the ball now. He's actually a bit old-fashioned the way he plays T20 cricket.
True.
And
He's
I
not kept.
know what they do. I watched a bit of the game. I went to see somebody. Actually, you like this story. Part of my job, which I've alluded to, is to work on the charity that represents current former players who played in this country, or just members that can come from different parts of the world. And I went to see a guy called Jamie Hood, who was a pro and also played age group cricket for England in sort of 97, 98. So I saw a team picture yesterday. So this is the likes of Moxon, Goff, Vaughan, Blakey, Ryan Sidebottom, really strong Yorkshire setup. And this lad, well, a lad now, he's not a lad now, went to South Africa and got involved in a car accident, which ended up with him breaking his neck.
Wow.
And basically, he has been paralysed, without going into great details of what happened after that, from 98 to now. So he's been living in a paralysed state from the neck down for over 20 odd years.
Terrible.
So, and his enthusiasm and optimism is just a treasure moment. You leave his house with, going in there thinking you've got some issues and coming out thinking, why am I bothering about this person? And he's got a lot of support system around him. And all he wanted to do was talk about the T20 game between Lancashire and Yorkshire, talk about Joe Root, also talk about Harry Brook. Might come as a bit of a surprise to you. But he's just a wonderful man. Really.
It's a wonderful story. That's lovely. I love to hear that. Now, they've quickly released Craig Overton, Harry Brook, and Matt Parkinson back to the so-called Blasts tonight. So they're off doing their other matches. So Matt Henry over Neil Wagner. I do think Matt Henry's serious pace is going to be interesting, but Neil Wagner has this knack of taking wickets, doesn't he?
He does. I don't know whether he's carrying an injury or whatever. Matt Henry's record in England is pretty impressive. And he knows how to bowl in this country. So I think it's an attacking move by them.
Very much.
I'm just worried about the amount of runs they're getting on, because I think
that's the problem.
Without a world class player, but people stand up to the plate and manage to do it. So. But it'd be interesting to see how the pitch responds, because I think it's supposed to be a reasonably sunny day, but it's supposed to be really very windy.
Right.
So that actually doesn't help bowlers either. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that. And I think a concern which wasn't made reference to was, and quite rightly shouldn't have been made reference to, was the amount of overs that Ben Stokes bowled in the match, and how effective they were compared to the other seamers. Because I think in the second innings he bowled like 8 overs for 40 odds. Now, he might have been really attacking in the way that he bowls, because that's what he does. I just have some, and I don't want to be a pessimist about, I think his knee has to be managed. So the amount of overs, and some of the matches he's played in the last probably 4 or 5 years, he has bowled a spell of bowling in one spell, which has turned games. Like in South Africa, he did it, but he hadn't bowled short spells come back. I think his knee is such that when I start to bowl, I've just got to keep going until it comes to an end. But a long spell rather than lots of little spells, if you see what I mean, if that makes sense.
Do you think his captaincy may affect even the use of his bowling? Why I'm saying that is it's very hard when you're captain to actually know when you want to bowl yourself. I had
to, in even my little world, I had to employ somebody to tell me when to bowl. And it was a guy called Brian Davison, who was a Zimbabwean, played for Leicester, played for Gloucester for 1 year. A really tough bloke. He didn't bat with a bat. He batted with a railway sleeper, basically. So he used to hit it miles, but very tough individual. And his job was to wander off from the boundary and just say to me, "You bowl now," and I would have some logical excuse. And he said, "Bowl now," and he fought in the civil war in Zimbabwe. So he was not one to argue with, basically. So.
But you do need a bit of, because sometimes it can affect you to the extent where you underbowl yourself, or you bowl yourself in a rather conservative manner, more in a holding pattern. Maybe not Pat Cummins.
It tends to be underbowled, Norman, not overbowled. And
that's true.
And I think that you'll have Joe Root standing at slip, and he will tell him, "You need to bowl now." So, but as it happened in both innings, they reduced them to fall down for nothing. So it was a bit easier to control the attack. So
true. But I think Ben Stokes will be more successful as a captain who bowls than, say, ultimately Pat Cummins will be. I think over time it'll show on Pat Cummins. I truly believe that, even though he's played relatively well so far. I think he's still a bit lost out there with his captaincy, and I'm not knocking
well,
the guy.
Well, it depends on you can never do it on your own, Norman. You need other people around you. You need the keeper to make an input. So Ben Folkes will be a good person. He's a very thoughtful cricketer. You can never do it on your own. So you just need senior players within the team. And Ben Stokes is not short of senior players. He's got 2 senior.
No, he's got a few around him.
But he can manage it. He's strong enough in character to say, "Actually, Jimmy, I'm not going to do what you say. I'm going to do this." So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting how that unfolds. Now, Satvik Bakari is asking, even though we've spoken about a few Indian batsmen, Sunil Gavaskar, I've watched him. So have you. You've played with him in any format?
Played against him. He played for Somerset for a little while. So. When you have you either had Boss or Viv trying to burst the ball, I would say Sunil Gavaskar was like a surgeon. He just sort of delicately just cut you to pieces without you even noticing. You get to 50, you never notice on that ball. But the way that he took on the West Indies, and that was the first time I think the Indians stood toe to toe with an extreme pace attack. He set the stall out. So his record, I didn't see him enough compared to the other ones that I've talked about or played against. But his record speaks volumes. So if you're talking about the best Indian batsman, you could reel off 20, and it would be difficult to separate them, really. So
that's true. It's very true. Quick question, a bit left field. Sebastian asks Cummins or McGrath. I think it's a pretty obvious answer. McGrath stands tall. Cummins is yet to get there, although he's on his way.
Yeah, McGrath showed that actually you don't have to bowl 4,000 miles an hour. If you hit the seam enough times, and what he did was that his and Michael Atherton had the most difficulty with him. One, Atherton had a back situation, so moving was sometimes difficult. But where McGrath delivered the ball was nearly from where the non-striker was. So it came from, a difficult angle. He got very close to the stumps. And people who faced him said that actually he hurt the hands because he just kept hitting the top part of the bat all the time. And he was inherently mean in terms of a bowler. He would not experiment at all. He just kept, metronome. If you wanted somebody, a young guy, talking about bowling line and length, he is the perfect example of that.
Okay, so England won the toss, and New Zealand are going to bat in the second test at Nottingham, which is in fact Trent Bridge. New Zealand versus England. I can't wait for this match. I can't wait also when ultimately England play India further down the track.
Yeah. So that was a game yesterday, wasn't it? That T20 game.
Yeah, oh my God, South Africa did a number on India.
Yeah.
I didn't see the end of it.
I just saw the 2 Indian lads, the young lads, keep smashing it into the stand, because that's that odd ground where the stands look as if they're about to fall over.
Exactly. That's a great ground. I love it. It's the most bizarre structure there in Delhi. But look, India they were under their best. They were certainly lacking a few of their top players like Rahul, Rohit Sharma, and the like of Kohli. They bowling
They still got over 200, so it wasn't.
Oh yeah, they did. That wasn't one-sided, but South Africa came through, and I'm just scratching my head every time I see South Africa win. I keep thinking to myself, how are they doing it? Van der Dusen did well, but I don't rate him. But anyway, we'll see.
Well, I think he's. Though he didn't play in the IPL, he sat in the front row. Who do you actually play for? Do you play for one of the finalists?
No, he played for. It wasn't. Was it right? It wasn't Rajasthan Royals. I don't think. I think he played for Kings 11 or the Punjab team, didn't he?
I'm not sure, but
he's been underwhelming. It was underwhelming in the IPL.
But I think he's one of those guys who will learn quickly.
Yeah,
and I think that the one-day internationals that they played against, who did they play in South Africa? Was that Pakistan they were playing?
No, they played India in South Africa.
Yeah, well, he as the series progressed, he got more and more runs, and quicker as well. So
right.
he got a bit of a rhythm to his batting.
He actually played for Rajasthan Royals. They're saying Rajasthan Royals he played, which didn't make the final. They did, of course. They did. But he didn't. Look, I'm not convinced about South Africa, even though they're getting some results on their side. I'm not convinced about them, to be honest, being a true threat to either a World Cup coming up later this year or anything of that nature.
Don't underestimate them. Don't underestimate Mark. He's a competitor.
I just look at. I just miss the Carloses and the Umlas, and even good old AB de Villiers. I'm struggling.
I think the transition has been really quick. I think that's
surprisingly so, actually. Really.
With the inherent problems they have, they've got some really good seamers now, which is good.
Rabada, of course, and Norgay were great.
Yeah. I think when you get to the T20 World Cup, they would be a bit of a dark horse, I think.
Well, I share my birthday today with David Miller, as a matter of fact. He had his birthday today, so that's obviously I'm the same standard of batting as course as David Miller. No, he's been a bit of a revelation too, hasn't he? He did well for Gujarat. He did very well for Gujarat. That's very good lower order batting.
I think he's a very the way he plays. That when he's got a good streak of form, he is seriously dangerous. But sometimes when it doesn't go that way, then it can be. But that's the same for anybody playing T20. So I assume Pant was named as captain before the final of the IPL, because you would have to say that Hardik Pandya is a better captain than Pant. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was an early decision because Hardik Pandya proved himself magnificently in the IPL. So we've got James Anderson with 646 wickets. Isn't it an amazing total? Seriously.
Yeah.
And I love the Trent Bridge, the one stand there to the right in the old Players Pavilion there. Latham scored 4,500 runs. No slouch. Batting average, well, it's not 50, but it's 41. But he's pretty confident.
Jimmy has now mastered the art. One of the things he couldn't do was to bowl to left-handers. When Graham Smith got a couple of double hundreds, it's very difficult when your stock ball is to swing it into a left-hander, to stop swinging it in, to try and bowl it across. But he seems to have mastered that now. So the combination of the two of them, they'll be tested, the New Zealand batsmen.
I never forget Trent Bridge. They give out little souvenirs to the media box, a nice little cup, and I always like those little trinkets, I must say. I like my trinkets. Now, Will Young is opening he's yet to score 100.
So is that one of your grandchildren behind you now, over your left shoulder?
Yes. Not grandchildren. Well, not quite. My I'm the great uncle to him. As my nephew's son. Not my. I'm not quite. Grandchild of my son. He's still partying on there. I don't think he's quite settled for kids yet, but they're my my brother's son and his
very nice
kids.
picture anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Now, I love Trent Bridge. The only problem with Trent Bridge, when you're in the media box and you stand up, you get quickly told to sit down because you're in the eye line. It's very low.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's mixed feelings about Trent Bridge. I must admit. Well, playing in an era when you had to face Hadley and Rice was not much fun.
No, I bet you it would have been nice. Oh my God! It seems to be very open as far as the wind conditions are concerned. They really do affect the ground, don't they? It's not surrounded by.
It used to be windier until they built the new stand down there towards the football ground.
Yeah,
and that changed it to be a real swing ground. So,
right,
because it caused a bit of an issue when my successor picked the other Patterson to play against. Not the one that played for Australia. There was a younger one that played
for England.
Yeah, and Michael Vaughan was the captain, and he never met him at all. When suddenly rocked up on the day. So.
What was his name? Was it David Patterson, or what was his first name? Because James Patterson. What was his brother's name? I've forgotten his name. Quite a much more solid guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He played the one test, didn't he?
He did. I think he might play two. So I think
was it two?
Played the Headingley, where it didn't swing.
Right.
And he was a bit exposed then. So
isn't that incredible? Two brothers, one playing for one country, one for the other. Has that happened before? I wonder.
I'm not sure. No,
I haven't heard of that.
Only happens in England.
Now, so far, Will Young and Latham have been letting the ball go nicely here. There's no score being added. Swinging. These two dearly need to get some runs. They need to get a good opening start. This is imperative for New Zealand to have any chance here. They've got to
see off these two. So you're talking about 12 overs, 6 of each.
It's a tall order. How many times has Broad Anderson gone wicketless in the first 12 overs?
Well, that's where you got to set your stall out, and between the two of them, even if it's I'm not saying it's 0 for 0 because you've got to get some runs. They want to get off the mark, but it just 5 days is a long time. So,
but I mean, how many? I mean, I don't know of a stat, but I'm sure there is of how many times Broad Anderson's gone wicketless at the top of an innings with say into the 10-15 over mark. Wouldn't be very.
Wouldn't be in this country, no. It would be somewhere,
some
dust bowl somewhere.
So, are you happy with England's win was a very sound win in the first match, but are you happy with the way things are with the changes that have been made?
I think the man on the street was. I think the appointments at the start, the coach, captain, managing director are all positive people. Not to say the ones that they took over from aren't positive, but
no.
They won't die wondering about how they're going to do. And when you start off in that job, then you haven't got a free hit, but you haven't got any baggage. That sort of
no. Although Andrew Strauss is around the mix, he's got a director of something or other as his position.
He's chairman of the cricket advisory group or whatever it is, but he took over as managing director until Key was appointed.
Yeah.
I think he's still, sort of doing quite a lot of work in terms of non-cricket environments.
Yeah.
In terms of leadership and things like that. He's trying to carve out a career like that. He's got his 2 boys to look after. So
it's a paid role. What he does is a paid role, correct?
Yeah. Oh no, not serving on a committee. That's not. That's
okay.
I assume not. Anyway, so mine.
Do you think Alistair Cook will come back into the fray in a coach, or maybe not coaching or director's role? Or
I don't think so. I think he's repaying his debts. He's very loyal to Essex. I'm sure if this is not his last season, he'll probably play one more. But he's heavily involved in the family farm for a start. So,
That's right. That's a major commitment.
and I think he quite likes the media commentary bit, but I can't see him unless it was to do with Essex, who he is very much a Graham Gooch type of guy, and they are very loyal to Essex as a county, and they see their role as to plough things back into the county in some form or other. So I can see him being involved in Essex cricket for some time. So.
Oh, that's good. So they're commenting about Anderson has been playing cricket since my dad started watching cricket. And so this guy's name is Cricket, which is funny enough as it is. I think Anderson has been around for a fair while.
Well, they keep showing pictures of me giving him his first cap. And let's say that I haven't got a grey hair in my head when I'm doing that. So. And he's got a very strange haircut. So
at the time he did, I'm sure.
Yeah, he had some blonde bits in it. So.
Well, Young's just got off the mark there through the point region. He looks like he could get a 4 here, which is good start. Let's hope New Zealand put on some runs.
So are you doing this every day, Norman, or not?
Oh, for sure. You can come on every day. Every preview will do. Post will see.
Meetings to go to. So
all right, you do that, David. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. You're much loved by my viewers, and they really enjoy having you on.
I just, you want people to do well, and I just think for some of the New Zealand batsmen, that it'd be just nice for them to get some runs, really. So
make a game of it.
Yeah, well, not necessarily to show their true ability. That's what you want people to do. So,
absolutely.
You were neutral. So I tell you who person I was really delighted for was Ben Stokes, not Ben Stokes, Folks.
He got some runs.
It showed that it take a bit of pressure, because you only have to fail once in this country, and then not the long knives are out, but your name gets mentioned in a derogatory way.
I just think that Neil Wagner is a missing link here. I still think he's whether he's injured or not, we don't know. But
he might be carrying an injury for all we know. So, and the way that he bowls, he could get side injuries pretty quickly if
that's true.
Short.
Very true.
Matt Henry is a really good guy to, and they haven't got Grantham, so they haven't got a dependable guy who's played a lot. So I think the side that they've come up with is probably the right team.
There's a gentleman running on the pitch with sawdust. It looks like spitting in his Richard Vernon, but I don't think it's him. All right. Well, thank you, David. Much appreciated. I really appreciate it.
No.
Join me anytime.
Happy birthday, anyway.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wonderful to be thanked, to be wished a happy birthday by David Graveney there, of course. New Zealand are now none for 4. The man's bringing sawdust all over the place. Young's got the mark with a 4. Latham's not out naught. Anderson none for none. Slow but steady start here from the New Zealand side. Wagner would be a beast in these conditions. It's beyond my understanding that New Zealand didn't throw him in the playing 11. I kind of agree. Ahead of Bracewell, I kind of agree. People saying, Roshan saying us happy birthday to me. Thank you. Ahmed Raza, happy birthday to you. Don't stay blessed and happy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Quite a few. Simon Torfel gave me a bit of a message or two. There's Arthur Watson, some famous umpires who I know. They've all given me a number of Sri Lankan cricketers, Hush and Tilakarata, all the women's cricketers from Sri Lanka. I've been very blessed. Had a lot of people wishing me happy birthday. Very lucky indeed. Very much. David Milan, a few people that you would know, many of the former Australian players. It's been great. The Latham's got off the mark there with a little tickle down the leg side. Which spinner in Australian A team do you think like to play for Australia? Look, I'm still a Zampa person. I want to see him cross over from the short form to the long form, to be honest. I still do. I think that's the man that I want to see in the side. Joe Root looks very relaxed and happy. Of course, he scored a century in the last match when he scored his 10,000 test run. Like Lords, he must be a happy chappy. They won the test match. He's no longer captain, so he can be free and easy. Trent Bridge, amazing ground. Interesting scoreboard. Very, very much, here we go. Very heavy red dark ball, the Duke ball. how do I rate Bracewell as a batsman? I don't know much about him, to be honest. He's surrounded by cousins and uncles and people who have played for the country, so he's got some good pedigree, but I'm not sure about him. He's not as good as De Grandhomme, put it that way. But De Grandhomme is actually injured. And Reg Verdon's just joined us. You're the night shift. Dave's the day shift. Is that what it is?
I didn't think you'd want me coming on while you've got David Graveney on, Norman.
Well, you made some great comments on the side there. They were very relevant to the
I was trying to happy birthday, Norman. I've just eaten your cake. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you know that Bracewell, what an incredible story. He's got 3 uncles and a father, all played representative cricket. It's quite a gaggle there, isn't it?
And his cousin Doug Bracewell has been in around the side as well.
Exactly.
Bracewell. So I just put your candles on the cake and lit them, but unfortunately the fire brigade were called out, Norman. Apparently it was a help
because of the number of I see. Well, I'll tell you what, the candles had no chance because I'd already eaten into the cake before the candles were even lit. No, look, I'm very lucky, Reg. I've got a lot of people that like. I've had the Simon Torfels of the world, Jeff Thompsons of the world, all wish me happy birthday, Lenny Pascoe, Doug Wallers. They're all saying happy birthday to me, Wayne Holdsworth, and even David Milan. I have people who are they're all on my social media, by the way. But it's interesting. Then all the girls, of course, all my Sri Lankan, the bevy of the Sripalis and the Nalakshis, and of course Razan Jika Herod's playing for
Aparna. Should wish you, or is she going to give you a more personal happy birthday greeting, Norman?
Well, let's not go there. Thank you very much. This is a family show. It's a family show. But in terms of this girl called Razan Jika Herod, who scored 161 in a 20-over match. She faced 66 balls, which was effectively 11 overs. So her batting, she basically was hitting 15 and over the time that she was on.
Takes some doing that. It really takes some doing that.
Well, I just got her a new bat. She's going to Malaysia tomorrow to play in a tournament there. And there's a group called Castle Sports that are based in Malaysia. They've given her a new SS bat. And I've sorted all that for her. She's very happy. So it makes my day when they get happy. I've got Jayanara Alam, the Bangladeshi, the Sripali equivalent from Bangladesh, I would call her, in terms of, very photogenic. She's been in my ear. So it's lovely to get all these messages from these people say happy birthday. It's very, very warming, I must say.
Yeah. Just on the cricket, Norman, I thought I'd mention, I don't think Wagner is injured. I think that's a selection decision that they've made. I would have thought Trent Bridge, which is where they're playing, is the number 1 swingiest ground in England over the last 7 seasons. They produced a chart earlier that showed that it swings on this ground more than anywhere else in the country. And I think they think that Matt Henry, he pitches it a bit fuller. Wagner's basically a dig it in type bowler. He's a very good bowler, don't get me wrong, but I think they went for more of a guy who's going to maybe get a little bit out of the pitch.
Yeah, but you see, I get that point. I get that. It makes a lot of sense. But there's something about this yin and yang about the New Zealand attack. With Bolton Southey in their spots, Wagner's always been a very good foil for them.
Yeah,
and that's why I don't think it matters that it's more swing than average. I think that the Wagner factor puts batsmen off because they get this barrage of short balls after having good full balls. It can put you off.
Yeah, I agree. No one likes facing a load of short stuff. You don't like it. I mean, it's not much fun, is it?
No. So, I mean, Kyle Jamieson, although he bowled pretty well in the first test, I just think that Wagner would have been a better pick. He's done very well lately. He's been in an incredible form.
And if you bring Wagner in instead of, say, the Bracewell, then their tail would be far too long. I mean, Bracewell's coming at 7. Now, I know he's a batter, but to be fair, on debut, he's going to be under a lot of pressure, isn't he? Coming in at 7. Yeah. So, and their tail, although they're not the worst tail I've ever seen, the Jameson Southies can both hold a bat. They are still lower order batters, so they can be blown away.
New Zealand's batting lineup, though, I'm going to hate to say this, but I might regret saying it, is fair to middling. they're not really out and out class like a Williamson now that they've lost him, even a Ross Taylor. There's something a little bit lacking there, I must say.
Williamson's been struggling though in his last 5. I think I'm right here. In his last 5 Test matches, he hasn't scored over 200 runs in total. In his last 5 tests, so he's been struggling a little bit. So
yeah, well, Reg Vernon, here we are. In your last meeting, you say that Australia not able to whitewash the Sri Lanka as well. It's proving wrong, isn't it?
Well, I'm surprised. I thought that Aussies would find that harder. I mean, crikey, it's not the first time I've been wrong. It won't be the last. I think it might be harder in the Test matches, though. I'll tell you something else would have been wrong as well. I was watching the 2020 India South Africa, and the third ball of the game, which was bowled by the left arm spinner Maharaj or whoever it was, Maharaj, literally went sideways. It took a big lump out the pitch, third ball of the whole game, and it basically turned 90 degrees. And I thought, this game is not going to go very long. I thought South Africa had 0 chance in that, and both sides got over 200. So it just goes to show how completely wrong.
I'm still a bit. I mean, David Graveney earlier said that we shouldn't underestimate the South Africans, but I don't like this side. It's on the nose for me. I know they won the match, but something doesn't sit well. I don't know. They haven't got those star players that we used to seeing.
You're not going to accept, Norman, that you're wrong. Rassie van der Dussen is a very fine player.
Oh, I still don't like him.
Runs.
I still don't like him.
Look at his Test and one-day record for South Africa. He's averaging pretty much 50, isn't he, in 2 formats?
Oh, I'm not so. I need some convincing. I'm sorry. Latham's a magnificent fall there. Now, Ahmed Raza is obviously Pakistani. Yeah. Oh, come on. Let's be fair. Wagner isn't injured. He was a deserving candidate, happy with the selection of Henry. But Wagner is a sumptuous and versatile player. He can be handy with the bat ball. Look, I have a lot of. I think he's perkiness around the team. He lifts them when they're down. He comes in there all day and will bowl well. I think he's not a player I would leave out.
I don't agree. I just was making the point. I think they made a selection decision. They decided to go with Matt Henry, who last time he was here, I think Matt Henry took a 5 or a 6 for last year. Did he not play in the Test last year?
But didn't they had bowled to Southie out, so he took more of a frontline role.
Yeah, he's a good bowler, Matt Henry. David Groveney's a big fan as well. It's good. But I think England would rather have Matt Henry to face than Wagner. I agree with that. He's a point of difference. He's just he bowls at your throat, doesn't he?
But he bowls well. He bowls clever short balls. It's not just random short balls. But New Zealand's depth in bowling is astounding. They've got even Lockie Ferguson, who bowls exceptionally well in the IPL. He's floating around there as well. I mean, they've got a lot of depth in their bowling.
I don't think he's on the tour, is he? Is he in the tour party? Lockie Ferguson? I'm not sure he is.
I'm not sure. I think he might be. I'm not sure.
Because he was at the IPL, wasn't he? Was he playing in the IPL?
And he was in the. I think he was in the Gujarat team. Yeah. Himanshu Rahela loves to bring up these random Australian A players. Matt Cunningham in the Test. No, they're not going to select him because they've got too many bowlers to pick him. He's had to knock down a few bowls Rodriguez ago. Now, so this is actually a very interesting point. Neil Wagner against Joe Root. There may be a bit of a stat there that we don't know about. I just think that even the Ben Stokes, even though he likes to play the short ball, can also get out to the short ball. So, we've lost Neil.
Sorry about that. My phone was ringing. I don't.
You're not in Sri Lanka. The blackouts are only in Sri Lanka, I thought.
I don't think Joe Root's got a weakness for the short ball. I don't think. I mean, he's played a lot of Test cricket. I don't think I remember him being particularly weak, and I'm sure he's been tested out quite a lot. So I'm not sure that Wagner would worry Root. In fact,
there may be a bit of a record there. Maybe there's a bit of history between the two. We're not sure.
It might be. I just don't. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And
no.
Some players you think might not like the short stuff being bottom. I don't think Root's one of them. Stokes would take it on more than Root will. Root plays we talked about this last test, didn't we?
Yeah.
Root plays a gentle pull round rather than a hook shot, doesn't he? He doesn't go for it.
Guided.
It's a very controlled shot. I don't remember Root ever getting caught on the boundary playing the hook shot. I'm sure I'm wrong, but I don't.
Joe Root, I mean, as we saw that stat that Chris brought up, the 9. I mean, he has really put himself on another level at the moment, hasn't he? Seriously.
Yeah, they had a stat, Norman, that I saw that. Sorry, my phone's going up mad. They had a stat that they call them the big 4, don't they? And unfortunately, Barbara Azam isn't included in this, so I apologise because I think Barbara Azam is awesome. I think I love it. I watched him the other day get that 100. By the way, he's a lovely, lovely player. He's probably as good, if not better, than Root at the moment, but they're playing different conditions, so it's difficult to judge. But I love it. Anyway, if you're talking about Williamson, Smith, Root, and Coley as the big 4, that's what they were calling them. In the last 3, I think the last 3 seasons, Root has scored 9 Test hundreds, and none of the other 3 have got 1. So
that says it all. That says it all.
He scored 13 scores over 50 in the last 2 seasons and converted 9 of them.
Incredible.
He's in big form. And it'll fade. He'll go through a patch. We know what batting does. I mean, look at your trough, Norman. You've had a 20-year trough where you've scored no runs. You're due to come back into form sometime soon.
Now, there's an interesting stat here about slip catches and test matches. New Zealand's got 93.3% record of catches. Pretty bloody high. Actually, England's not as high as 79%, but of course they did well the last test.
Yeah, we were bottom of that figure. We were bottom of that table, I think, in recent times. But last test was a lot better, wasn't it? You know.
Was it a catch?
I think they're just showing a replay from the first game.
Right. Oh, that's when Bairstow took some great catches. Yeah.
I'm about a minute ahead of you on the feed here. I've got the live feed. I'm watching. That's why I keep looking. I don't know how it looks on the. If I keep looking over the top, it says the balls are Broad's coming in the bowl now.
Well, you won't control yourself if you get a wicket. You will.
I might mention it, Norman, but it's not doing a lot at the moment. Whether there's still a bit of lacquer on the ball, but it looks as though if it doesn't do anything, the bad toss to stick an opposition in, because it can be very, very good for batting here. Trent Bridge, it can be absolute bowler's graveyard if it doesn't swing. It's the very fast scoring ground.
There certainly are. There's a bit of movement going on, though.
They're talking about the weather being set fair for all 5 days of the test, so there's not going to be an issue at all with rain at all. So they're going to get 5 days in. And they think that days 2 and 3, it could be very, very good for batting. So I would imagine England are thinking that they could hopefully get New Zealand 6 or 7 down today, and then get them out tomorrow morning and then bat for 2 days. I'll imagine.
Well, so far, touch wood, they've got a pretty sound New Zealand start here.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't done much. It's swinging a little bit, but you'd expect that with a brand new ball anywhere in the world. But it's not hooping at all. It really isn't, and it looks like a good deck. Broad's just pulled out.
Will Young's got a very pronounced defensive shot, hasn't he? He gets down the wicket.
He's been playing a lot in this country. He's been playing. I think he's up at Durham. I might be wrong. I think he's up at Durham. So he's been scoring runs in the championship. So it's not as though he's coming here cold. He just didn't. He got a couple of low scores.
Chris Glenn's been playing well in the short format in England, hasn't he? He's been getting some pretty big centuries.
Yeah. I thought he'd retired 15 years ago, Norman, like yourself, but he's apparently still going on. He got a big 100 last night.
I would have liked to have seen him play some Test cricket, but it didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gone past him now. What is his? He's 33, 34, isn't he? He's mid-30s.
Yeah. Scary. I remember he was a kid going into cricket tour with me. Very scary.
Broad's just bowled one that's hit the batsman smack on the gloves from, I suppose, short length. It bounced a bit, but that would have hurt a lot. This is the famous ground, Norman, where we bowled the Aussies out for 60. Broad, 8 for 15, or whatever it was.
I know. I think what year was that? I think I was there, actually.
Oh, 2015, 16.
I've been in every single match, every single Ashes tour since, what was it, 13. I've been on every England tour of England since 13, 15, not 17. I think 19 was the next. I've been on every
19.
single one.
The last time I was here in 19. Good series.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Good series. Your favourite, Marnus Labuschagne, came in as concussion
Oh
sub.
God!
Well, he hasn't looked back, has he? Because he wasn't.
I
He
want
wouldn't have played the Test series, would he?
If he and Travis are on the same bus, I wouldn't be too concerned. If he was on some sort of cliff face in Peru or something. No, I shouldn't say. Okay, look, to me, England should win, and we would expect New Zealand. I can see that ball sitting on the gloves. You expect New Zealand to struggle, but look, these two get a good opening partnership going. Devon Conway's not a slouch at all by any means.
No.
Hamish Rutherford, well, he has done okay.
He's not inside, Norman. He's not playing. I know you said
sorry.
earlier. I told you in the messaging.
Why do I keep saying his name for? Sorry, my apologies.
That's all right.
I've got him fixated with Hamish. So they got Henry Nichols has been good. He's a good player. So they got a pretty sound side. It's a sound yet not spectacular thing.
But you tell me, Norman. You come back from injury. You come back from illness as well. He had COVID. Henry Nichols. He's played no cricket in the last few weeks, and he's straight into a Test match. It's tough. It's really tough. He hasn't picked up a bat. He can't include nets. You just can't include net sessions. It's not the same. You know.
No, but I grant that, but sometimes it's better to be a bit fresh, so to speak, and not necessarily grounded to the bone in a net. I don't necessarily. I'm not subscribing to someone having to play lots to get into form. I think sometimes you can just be ready for it. You can be up for it. You can be mentally and physically rested. It can also be an advantage.
I like that, Norman. Didn't you? I used to feel I like to be in the middle, batting, even
sure.
if I wasn't batting well.
I've never ever got any form of nets. Never. Nets have never been somewhere I like to be. It's not realistic. You're not, and I'm a square of the wicket player, so I don't like having nets around me to stop.
Do you mean you edged it a lot, Norman? Is that what you're calling square of the wicket? Lots of edges.
Edges are behind. I normally pull it.
You cut it through the covers.
I love my cut and pull. I tell you now, you watched me playing against Tripati Rakoti on the streets of Sri Lanka recently. I gave it to her, big time.
Is that what you're going to do to Chris next summer when you have your little battle?
Ooh,
when he wings it around your neck, your throat.
He's going to cop it. He's going to cop it right where he doesn't. He's going to be. I don't need to run when I'm hitting 4s and 6s. I'll tell you that much now. He'll be looking down and shaking. He says, "I just belt him to Kingdom Come."
Do you know I've got a good stat for you that I heard last week, Norman? If the base is 750 Test runs, do you know which batsman in Test history has the most percentage of sixes in their Test career to runs? But 750 Test runs is the base. So you're not just someone who's played 1 or 2 Tests. You've got to score minimum 750 runs.
I would say Gale, McCullum, or Gilchrist.
Nowhere near. No. The most percentage of sixes in Test cricket per run scored is Tim Southey.
What?
Tim Southey has scored the most percentage of sixes in Test cricket if you set the bar at 750 Test runs.
But we're not going to start calling Tim Southey in the same breath as
if you lower that bar to 500 Test runs, someone who scored 500 runs or more in Test cricket, the highest percentage of sixes per run scored is Bolt.
Oh, my God. What are we trying to say? That Bolt and Southey are the saviours for New Zealand?
I'm just saying they fit a lot of sixes in percentage of the runs scored. It's only in percentage of the runs scored. So
they both made pretty pennies out of the IPL, I tell you. Bolt gets paid into the millions each time he plays. And, I mean, Maxwell's made a fortune out of being an IPL top level player.
Yeah. We're talking Test cricket here. We're talking Test cricket.
Anderson, did he play much IPL?
Jimmy Anderson?
Yeah.
None. No, I don't think he played any. I don't think he's ever been involved.
Why not?
Well, he was sort of at the end of his one. He's never played a lot of 2020 cricket, Jimmy Anderson, I don't think.
Yeah, but IPL's been around for 14, 15 years. It's not like it just came out
I
yesterday.
mean, he might have played, but I mean, Jimmy Anderson made his Test debut 2005, didn't he? He was. I don't think he was ever seen as a 2020. I suppose he probably did play some for England. I could check the stats, but I mean,
Did he come in as late as 2005? That's 17 years ago, I guess.
he came in just sort of the back end of the Ashes. He was in the sort of squad. He played a couple of one-dayers. He didn't play that. I don't think he played that series, but he was in after that.
I can remember Anderson in the early days. I thought he was crap because he was bowling to Langer and Hayden, and they absolutely walloped him.
Well, they weren't most people, Norman. They were two very fine players, weren't they?
But it was. I remember that, and I thought this guy's rubbish. He was being absolutely smashed. It was in Australia, and he was given one hell of a shellacking.
Yeah, it just goes to show, though, sometimes you've got to give people a chance. I mean, you know,
like a la Shane Warne, 1 for 150, the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, his first test it was away in New Zealand, wasn't it? His first Test series, I think. He got absolutely worn.
No, he played against India, and it was actually, I think, in Australia, and Ravi Shastri like belted the hell out of him. I think it was actually on the SCG.
Yeah, so you've got to. Sometimes you just got to give someone a go. I mean, I'm trying to think. There was someone I was thinking recently who's come through because he's been left in the side. New Zealand are good at doing that, aren't they? They do not discard players that fast. They will look at them and give them a go. I suppose they've got.
Well, I mean, if you're good enough to play for your country, you deserve a run of matches because it is a bit of a transition.
Yeah, yeah.
To go from anything other than
here, isn't it? They're going to give Ollie Pope a go at number 3.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get.
Reminds me of Ian Bell. Would you say Ian Bell's a good comparison?
Yeah, I don't think he's as graceful as Bell. I think Bell was. You think of Ian Bell, you think of beautiful cover drives, don't you? I mean, he was a lovely cricketer. I think Pope's more of a busy player, more in the root mould as sort of square of the wicket type player.
Okay.
Whereas Bell he played lovely extra cover drives, didn't he? He was an elegant player.
He was great. When he played, especially he played well in Australia. I can remember too. He seemed to like Australian conditions for some reason.
He won. It was his Ashes. The Ashes we won here in maybe 13, 14, whichever year that would have been. He got 300s in that series against the Aussies, which is important. You know, when you're batting down at 5, that does really boost the score, doesn't it?
One of my favourite England batters of yesteryear was Derek Randall.
Cool, crumbs, you're going back. He got a big 170 odd, didn't he, in the Centenary Test back in 77? Was that was
but he was something about it. He didn't look right. He didn't look like he should be there. He looked like he was the how can you describe him? Like he was the dustbin boy or something. He didn't look like he wasn't meant to be on the field. But
he's completely balmy. You know, he's completely mad. Derek Randall.
I'm not surprised.
There are stories going that when he was staying on tours, staying away, people went to his room to see if he was okay or to get him for dinner, and he was in his full kit, pads, gloves, everything, just in his hotel room, just practicing shots and pretending to.
Well, is that any different to Steve Smith? Is that any different to Steve Smith and bloody Labuschagne? They're about as goofy as you can get as well. They wake up in the middle of the night and start playing batting shots. I mean, come on. Smith's a bit kooky, I must say, and so is Labuschagne. And Labuschagne seems to have idolised Smith from a young age or something. He thinks he's a young brother. It was a bit weird.
Smith's form's a little bit worrying, isn't it?
Labuschagne?
No, Smith. I think Smith.
Oh, definitely. I believe very strongly. Ever since the Sandpaper game, he's never regained his form. He did score a 90, I guess, against Pakistan, but other than that, he has really lost his way, and something's not right. Something's really not right. But they're both worth. I mean, Warner and Smith are worth $450 million. They're running around, he's just flipped his house over for $12 million. These guys are filthy rich.
I mean, Warner's come back strong, hasn't he? And in recent times, he
really
in the short format. Yeah.
Yeah, but not in the long format. No,
Did he not score some runs in the tests?
he didn't get a century.
No. I think Potts has just hurt himself in the outfield. I don't know what he's done.
Does it?
I think he's running off to get a bit of medical attention. Nothing doesn't look too serious. There's lots of smiling, but he might be wandering off. They're not showing it. I think Warner. I mean Finch. God knows how he's still playing. I don't know. He's still captain, but he got runs the other day, didn't he? That must have been a very poor Sri Lankan attack if bloody Finch got runs.
Oh, look, Aaron Finch is going to be captaining.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Matthew Potts has done something similar to what Stark has done. Stark's cut his webbing on his finger too.
Yeah, it's not good if you cut your webbing. That's something that doesn't recover very fast at all, isn't it?
Well, he did it to his own spikes.
Did he?
How do you do that?
I think, well, sometimes you're overrunning, you're bending down to pick the ball up and you tread on your hand, don't you?
Well, I think it was in the follow through, his feet were up in the air and his hand.
Oh, right.
Something like that. It was very, like he actually, on the way back, collected his spikes.
Is that in bowling?
Yeah, he was one of the first deliveries of the over. He just somehow connected his hand to his spike.
Me and you wouldn't know about that, Norman, going at that sort
No,
of
it's been a long time since I bowled and hit my spikes in my shoe. I'd be lucky to get near my waist, let alone bigger than But my slower ball, watch it away, it just droops down, loses
It's
pace.
the only thing that droops a lot, Norman, these days.
Let's not talk about other things on public family television here. Thank you very much. I'm getting overwhelming. If I showed you all the so-called, I feel very smug about this. I mean, we've got here.
Closing on midnight there in Sydney, Norman.
Now it's 8:30 p.m.
Oh, right. Sorry. So you'll be off when the broadcast finishes. You'll be off to some assignation somewhere, I assume. Got a little hotel room booked somewhere?
Let's not talk about it.
Dinner and hotel? God, Norman. At your age, you'll be careful. The old ticker.
Look, no. Sanjeeva Ranatunga.
Yeah.
He played for Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
4 centuries. Wish me happy. So, did you see what he said? Very nice. He goes, good morning, Norman. Good morning, Norman. No matter how did you get, always remember to stay young at heart. Blah, blah, blah. Very nice. Sanjeeva Ranatunga. Not bad.
The ex-captain Ranatunga of Sri Lanka.
That's Arjuna's brother.
That's Arjuna's brother. I was going to say, yeah, Arjuna. He would, yeah. I imagine he'd be a more interesting one to have you messaging.
Simon Torfel.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, he was the
umpire. Yeah.
He's the umpire.
Yeah.
No, I'm very, very, very lucky. I've got quite a few. Alan Mullally.
I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. He's hopefully he's watching now. Hello, Alan, if you're watching.
Well, he probably is. So Jainara Alam, have you seen Jainara? That's Jainara Alam there.
Ah, very beautiful.
You don't know who she is?
Looks young, Norman.
She is. She plays for Bangladesh.
Yeah,
bowler.
Looks young though. I mean, she's not in her late 20s, is she? She's
not the young kid next to her. You goose. The other girl.
Sorry,
got that very, very wrong.
It's 20 without loss here. After
there's both Puni Hunseeker and Rebecca Van Dort, vice captain of Sri Lanka. And so I'm sorry, I'm going to bore you with this for a little bit of time.
That's all right, Norman. You bore me anyway, so I mean, it's not meant to.
Shapali, the happy birthday, Norman. So it's all happening there. So.
Yeah. Aparna, she sent you a message, Norman. Is that broadcastable?
There's the Lakshi so in Intercontinental Dhaka. Also, plenty of others. There's a few we can't show, but that's all right.
What does that mean? What are you suggesting?
Nothing at all. Your thoughts? String of girls there that are all marked there. They're all Sri Lankan folks.
Oh, this will be interesting. First ball swung a bit.
Lenny Pascoe, Yashika Fernando. I'm not sure who that is, but it sounds like a nice name to me. There's quite a bevy of nice
beauties, Norman.
Vestal. Look, there's me.
That's
in
the
the
Virgins,
SCG.
we were going to say.
That's a very famous dressing room. Where's that? Just see me
Oh.
on the ground there with a white shirt. That's the SCG Met
Okay.
Players dressing room.
Yeah, what are you doing?
See, I'm there. There I am there with next to this cottage and someone cottage.
How did you get in there? If it's a player's change.
Obviously, a player of note. I'm not sure which note, but that's another question. So what's this? Well, I digress. What's the score now?
Have we got any questions or comments, Norman? Come on, let's answer some questions.
Oh, sorry. Guys, how do you see Sean Tate as a bowling coach? Great. Absolutely. Pakistan's won the toss and elected to bat first, and one change in the team is Hassan isn't playing, Wasim Junior is playing. Thank you.
Thank you. I watched quite a lot of that the other day, and it's on live here. We got it on today. I'll be able to switch and watch it because we know someone quite well who's placed the West Indies. Hayden Walsh is someone.
Of course.
So we always wanted to cheer him on. But to be fair, that was a game, wasn't it? 300 chased. And the batsman batting at the end for Pakistan, they'll correct me, Asila.
He was amazing.
He smashed it.
Amazing. Seriously, yeah. I truly think if Pakistan have all the stars are aligned, they're going to give this World Cup, the T20 in Australia, one hell of a shellacking. I'll tell you what, they're nothing to be sneezed at. They're going to be something, they're going to be something to watch. I'm really convinced of that.
I don't agree. I just think that they're playing well at the moment in their home conditions. And it's always a difficult place to go and play, always was. But they traditionally haven't done quite so well away from home. The bounce and the pace would be a little bit different for them.
I just love the names of the Pakistan players. Fakhar Zaman. I didn't swear then, by the way. Imam Ul-Haq. I love that. Oh, I love. If I would have come back with another name, I'd have Norman Ul-Haq or Norman Khan.
He's one of the players who benefited from being given an extended run. I think he didn't start brilliantly in Test cricket, and he's playing very well. But I think it's taken him just a little bit of time to come through, and it's good. It's good to see it.
But Fakhar Zaman, Imam Ul-Haq, Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, what a great player he is.
Well, he's come through in the last year or so. He was a good player anyway. He's just upped his game a little bit, hasn't he? I think it's helped batting so much with Baba. I think
they go well together. You're right.
Real pair they do. They're lovely to watch. He's a lovely player to watch, Rizwan.
Oh,
he really is aggressive and positive player. Fantastic player.
Shadab Khan. I didn't say shut up. Shadab Khan. Mohammed Harris. He's come back now. Kushtil Shah. He's the guy that saw all those sixes. Yeah. Then you got Mohammed Nawaz, and then Harris Ralph, who's my favourite. Shaheen Shah Afridi, we know he's great. Mohammed was in the young bloke. Bloody good side.
Shaheen Shah Afridi could be very good in the World Cup. Because he's going to get a bit more bounce there, and he's a real handful. I love to see an aggressive fast bowler, Norman. It's one of the joys of cricket, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't always enjoy it when they're bowling against my team, but
well, that's your problem.
Yeah, but just
Shai Hope, let's go through West East time. Shai Hope has scored a century. Kyle Mayers is a good player. Shamar Brooks looks good.
I don't know what they're doing there. Kyle Mayers is really pushing it to open with him, aren't they? I don't know.
Yeah. Nichols Puran, Brandon King, Rovman Powell, who played in the IPL, Romario Shepherd, don't know much. Akil Hosseini is the fast bowler. Alzari Joseph, Hayden Walsh, your friend, and Anderson Phillip, I don't know much about. Yeah.
They're experimenting a bit, the Windies, aren't they? They're still searching for that sort of middle order. Isn't like a set middle order, is it?
No.
Just think they're missing a couple.
Well, Jason Holder is someone that they've relied on quite heavily, and he's perhaps been over relied on. I'll tell you what, New Zealand are playing some good shots there. It's a lovely shot from Will Young, and Anderson's not happy. He's showing a bit of a concerned face.
Yeah, I mean, now after 10. I mean, they're not racing away with it, but it's a nice solid start. You'd be happy in any form of cricket, really. Well, not 2020, but in most cricket, you're 30 off 10. You're not unhappy. Solid start.
Well, 10, but the first 10 overs of an Anderson Broad spell is certainly who's on the field? Sammy King, England substitute fielder. Who's he?
Well, someone's gone off. Maybe Broad went off at the end of the spell. I hate that, by the way, Norman. If I could change something, if I could change one thing, it's only a minor thing, Test cricket, I'd stop these bloody sub-fielders. Bowler finishes his spell and off he goes to have a rub down and change.
Where does he go? To the toilet, or what is he doing?
They just go off and have a bit of a rub down and sit down and change.
I totally agree. Well, what is this?
They do it all the time. Players are subbed on and off all the time, and you get the sub-fielders. In last Test, I think we had 3 sub-fielders on at one stage. It's wrong.
That's ridiculous. I agree totally.
If you're injured, a serious injury, that's fine. You're sub-fielder. Not just so he can go and go off. He didn't have to go off to the toilet. Doesn't matter. You don't get a sub-fielder because you want to go to the toilet.
What do you reckon? I should lie down on the side of the ground in the grass, or what?
No, they go off and have a wee, but with the side field with 10 men. You're only out there for 2 bloody hours, Norman. How much toilet do you need to go? You know.
But if you got to go, you got to go.
But you should get a sub-fielder. That's what I'm getting at.
Yep. I'll give you the classic. Jeff Thompson gets told with Lenny Pascoe that he's not in the Test team at Lords. Lenny Pascoe's refusing to play because he doesn't want his mate to miss out. They had a bit of a fight about who should play. Anyway, Jeff Thompson was made 12 man. He got the shits, went across the road to the pub just outside of Lords, sidelined to the pitch. So he's out there having a beer into the first hours of play. And what happens? He has to go on the field. They're looking around for the 12th man. Somehow they worked out that he wasn't in the ground and that he was actually in the pub. And he had to run out of the pub, go across the road, onto the ground, side onto the field at Lords. He had sunglasses, which he wasn't supposed to be wearing. He had a wrong hat, he had a beanie or something that wasn't the right hat. He was wearing whites, but he had the wrong shoes. Had the wrong shoes, a set of glasses he shouldn't be wearing, and some hat that wasn't allowed. He ran onto the field and started fielding, and fielded there for the rest of the session. I think that's hilarious.
That's brilliant. It's a different time, Norman, wasn't it? We're talking about the 70s here. I assume we're talking about the early 70s, are we?
Yeah, and it was at Lords. That was at Lords.
Yeah.
And then the other is Rumesh Ratnayaka, who's playing for Sri Lanka, wakes up at about 12:30 when the game started at 11. And the Sri Lankan team had then disguised someone else saying that was Rumesh Ratnayaka on the field when it wasn't. He rocked up at 12:30, whatever, and then stuck on the field and played. He slept in because in those days you didn't go on the same bus. You went by your own transport. He slept in. Oh, I think it's hilarious. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, great stories. Great story.
Oh, I mean, Lenny Pascoe told me some classics too, and where he was. Oh no, the classic was Brian Booth, who was
Brian Booth.
He played for Australia. He was an upper order batsman. He's now in his late 80s.
Yeah.
He told me, very intelligent man. He was on a train. So he lived out west, almost countryside of Sydney, and a test match. Something happened to the main player. They only had the 11 players there. He had to play. He couldn't get into the city because there were no trains. So he jumped on a goods train against his better judgment, found his way in there, smelling of soot and whatever from his goods train, rolled up at the ground, got some sort of a taxi and got to the ground and ended up playing. Well, what a story.
It's brilliant.
He should have been 12th man. He should have been at the ground. But for whatever reason, he didn't go, thinking he won't get a game. And then something, because the team had never changed or whatever. And there he goes. I just can't, can you believe it? Imagine playing Test cricket and something like that happens.
Yeah. As I say, it's a different game. I'm just going to see if the Pakistan West Indies game started. No, that hasn't. They're just lined up. They're going to be starting in a few minutes. They're doing the national anthems, I think, maybe.
So, okay, Aditya Rai has talked about answering 40 with Himanshu Rahela, then comes back and says, Cummins bowls will play to his fifth 40. I doubt it very much.
I doubt it. Not many fast bowlers play past the age of 35. I'm not saying none do, but not many. It's because it's so demanding on your body. It's just too hard. Thompson
70 years.
played later than that, didn't he? I'm pretty sure Tomo played late.
But Tomo, but the thing with Cummins, he actually had 6 or 7 years off at the beginning of his career because of injury. It took him 6 to 7 years to recover from initial stress fractures on his shins or wherever they were. Incredible.
I'd just be amazed, Norman, if they play after 35, 36. It's very unusual. It's very unusual.
Look,
just Jimmy Anderson,
tremendous money.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure Anderson's playing for the money. I'm not sure he is. He's not playing IPL or 2020 franchises. He'd be on a central contract with England, so that helps. But I just think he's just one of those exceptional players who just wants to carry on playing.
That's true. He's very obsessive about his work. Guys, Pakistani players are immensely talented. It's really fast. Shaheen Ralph.
I can't read any of this. If you want me to comment, you have to read it out to me. So,
okay. Guys, Pakistani pacers are immensely talented and extremely fast. Shaheen, Ralph, etc.
Yeah,
they would all be beasts on Australian pitches. I think they will be. They're going to bring it over field.
Peter Afridi will be.
Ralph, he's played in Australia quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think some of the others may be a bit raw, and they might get hit a bit. I like Afridi. He's left armour. He's aggressive. He's tall. He's aggressive. I love him. I love watching him bowl. I absolutely love watching him bowl. He's right.
Harris Ralph. You watch Harris Ralph in Australia. Yeah. He's had a lot of experience there, and really he played very well in the BBL as well, the short form. He is going to be a sensationally bowled accurately and fast.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got to get it accurate. He's got to keep it accurate, isn't he?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'll disappear like a lot of the quick bowlers.
But his story. He's good friends of mine because of his time down there. Lovely guy, very and Usman Khawaja, what's that? Usman Kadir, Abdul Kadir's son, lovely kid. He just got married. It seemed like yesterday, and he's had his third kid's popped out. I don't know what's going on. They're not mucking around. I think it's one after every 9 months.
Will Khawaja make the Ashes here next summer? Norman, he's got to be about 48, isn't he? Isn't he due to retire? Khawaja?
Oh, look, you're just worried because he might show you a thing or two. Trust me, Khawaja was doubles. He just scored 2 centuries in a test match. I don't think he's passed anything.
Well, he's just getting a bit past it. Where's Scott Boland, by the way? What happened to him?
Oh, he's good in Australian conditions. But hey, go back to Khawaja. Khawaja, he's 5 or so years younger than your guys.
Is he? I thought he was about 36, 38. So
hang on. 36, 38. You're jumping a year? What is this?
Well, I don't know. I'm just guessing. He's
going to be 36, 37, not 36, 38. Well, you're jumping years. You don't jump a year when he makes them as age up.
I only do even numbers, Norman.
Yeah, well, must be an unusual way you give birth in that country. That's what it is. Jeez, every 2 years you pop out or something. All right, now look, none for 37. I'm pretty impressed with this New Zealand opening postman. Hopefully, I haven't spoken too well enough.
Well, it's not doing much. I've got to be honest, Norman. It's not doing a lot, and that's a worry, isn't it? When you've won the toss,
you've got a ball in your hand and you bowl it. It's doing something. Maybe not a lot, but it's doing something.
It looks pretty flat at the moment, but who knows? Funny old game, cricket.
Oh, I love these. I love these grounds. But as I said to David, my favourite thing about Trent Bridge is a little cup that I got. I've still got it. Really, they go in the media box. They gave me this nice little cup.
What's
really Yeah, they give you little trinkets. They give you trinkets. I love my trinkets.
Drink your coffee out of it.
Yeah, well, it's just I love my trinkets. I love my little trinkets. I'm a trinket type of guy. All right.
Will Young has just pulled Broad through straight mid wicket. A real shot of intent. You'll see it in a minute. It wasn't a great ball, but to put him through there, Broady will not be happy about that. And it's 10. You're right, Norman. This could be a long day for England here if they're not careful.
Well, Matthew Potts had a dream start at Lords. He needs to pull his socks up too. He needs to be, able to back these 2 opening bowlers up.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, absolutely.
That was intent, all right. That was very devil may care, wasn't it? He absolutely clobbered that.
This one might go past his nose. I'm thinking. No, it wasn't. It was a length ball. Nothing special. Just played it. It looks very easy paced pitch. Broad's just bowled that, and it says 79 miles an hour. Do you do still miles an hour, or have I got to do a Cape?
Clobbers. We do clobbers.
It's kilometres. Hold on, I think they said what kilometres
Well,
it was.
79 miles per hour is pretty slow, isn't it?
127. I mean,
That's
Glenn McGrath pace when he was just finishing his career, wasn't it?
Well, look, let's be honest, and I'm not being too disparaging, but Broad and Anderson, even though they played particularly well at Lords, because of their age, they're going to find it hard to continue doing that match in, match out.
Broad can't bowl at that pace. That's that he needs to get it more than that. That's for
Is
sure.
he bowling into the wind? Looks like he might be.
There might be a little bit. I mean, that ball was at 80, so 128 kilometres now. That's not quick enough. It really isn't, Norman. Not many bowlers knocking over sides at that pace.
Can I just talk about England's spinners for the moment? Jack Leach is sound. I'm not saying he's bad, but Matt Parkinson looked ordinary.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit unfair to judge him on a fairly flat Lord's wicket. It wasn't spinning at all, was it? He got a wicket at the end. He looks a little bit slow to me.
I don't think... Is that the best you've got? Those two?
Yeah.
That's pretty poor. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree. We spoke about England's spin reserves before.
Adil Rashid and Mohamed Ali should come back.
Now then, there's the conversation. They are both keen to tour Pakistan, I think. They're both Pakistan heritage, aren't they? I think that would be a fantastic thing for them. And they've both been in contact with McCullum, it would seem. They
might have been in contact with McCullum, but are they in the greater squad, or are they training together, or what are they doing?
Rashid hasn't played a red ball game of cricket, I don't think, for 2-3 seasons.
But he bowls so well. I know with the short form, but he bowls so well. We're making some serious mistakes for spinners. We shouldn't pigeonhole them as just short form cricket. Even Zampa, to me, if he was given a go at Test cricket, he could be anything, and he hasn't been given one game.
The thing with Rashid is he's had a long-term injury with his shoulder to restrict him bowling longer spells, and so they managed him. They will manage him quite cleverly, and he's sort of morphed into, very, very good one-day player, isn't he? I mean, he's.
But I mean, I think spinners don't. I mean, okay. Some spin bowlers, like say Nathan Lyon, will bowl 30 or 40 overs. I get that.
Yeah.
And I get you want to protect them, but at the same time, if managed well, they still should be able to bowl a fair few overs. And really, I don't think England bowl spinners for 30 or 40 overs, do they? They're not the type of team.
Not here. Certainly not over here. But if they're going to Pakistan this winter, there's going to be some attritional days of cricket, aren't there? Where the
that's true. But I think for those that have got injuries like shoulder injuries, bowling in warmer climates can actually be a helpful hand. There's certainly a lot of fact around bowling in colder climates, such as what is England or New Zealand. Spinners have a harder time because they don't really, their bodies not acclimatized that well, and they've got Nichols that comes out big time.
Yeah, I think you'll see whether it's serious, whether Rashid and Mo and Ali are going to make a comeback when the next round of county championship games occur, which might be in a month or so. There's a couple of games. If they seriously want to get back in the England side, they're going to have to be playing in the 4-day county championship for their counties.
So when are England going to Pakistan later this year? Aren't they?
Yes, later this year. Yeah, I think there's a 2 or 3 test matches at the end of this in the winter.
August?
No. It's going to be. I imagine it'll be October, November time. I'm guessing.
That's when the World Cup's on. It can't be then.
Well, yeah, I'd have to check, Norman. But our test series runs here till September. We've got South Africa coming over. So it might be October then. They might be off straight after then to play Pakistan before the World Cup.
I'm curious because that's the series I want to see. If I was able to travel with the mother not being unwell, I ideally want to go to Pakistan. I really want to go there. I want to watch cricket there. It just excites me, the thought of it. Okay,
I think we'll get well and truly beat. I think it'll be good if Rashid comes back. I think that will give us a bit more of a chance, but hasn't played. There you go. I can't read that.
Well, we don't know whether Moeen Ali's actually retired just yet. He's out of the. He's in a form of retirement at the moment, but we'll wait to see.
Yeah, it's not. He said he's not made himself available for Test cricket. He hasn't. Whereas Rashid hasn't ruled out Test cricket at all. He's never retired from Test cricket. It hasn't been picked because of injury, and it's just the way it's gone. And he's not playing any red ball cricket for his county. Therefore, they're not going to pick him for a Test match if he's not playing red ball cricket at all. Whereas Ali said he'd retired, but now he's reversing. It looks like he's going to reverse that. Because they like.
Well, funny is that when we talk about reversing retirement, there's no such thing really. I mean, retiring from work,
make himself available. Yeah, he's going to make himself available. That's what I mean.
If you retire from work, your work doesn't take you back necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other player that was Amit Raz has just mentioned him, and I'm disappointed. Yashir Shah was a sensational leg spinner, but he hasn't been around for a long time of late.
Yeah, he played last series. Did he not play against Australia?
No, he didn't.
He didn't. Okay. I assume he might be injured, might he? Then
he didn't. He wasn't good enough to make it. He actually lost his form.
Okay.
Amazingly so. That's another 4, by the way. That's another 4. That's under for 40. What our drinks was another for 47. That's a pretty damn good start here.
Yeah. I'm going to leave you, Norman, if that's okay.
I'm happy because I'm pretty much done myself. We've gone for 2 hours. I can always talk a lot, I know, but more than 2 hours, you start to push my limits.
And your hotel room's booked for 10:30 after your dinner, Norman. So you need to.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Wish you a very happy birthday, Norman. Have a great time tonight. And don't do
Get
anything.
Chris on one day soon, please.
Well, I asked him today, but he's set up a new company, so he's been.
What does he do? Does he go put some stickers on his car? What's that mean?
You got it. So he had meetings this morning. He said he would have come. Actually, said he would have come on, but he had a Zoom call meeting at 10 and 11, so he just couldn't commit to do it.
We've still got time during the week. We've got more games to play, more days to play.
But he'll be playing cricket tomorrow, so he won't be back tomorrow because he'll be playing cricket tomorrow. Have a great one, fella. Happy birthday, Norman.
Thank you.
Take care.
All the best.
Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Nice having Rich Vernon. I do enjoy him. It's been great having him. Landia loves. Okay, guys, it's time for me to go. We're going to have our. Well, I think we've had enough. We're going to talk later. Pakistan are playing West Indies. England are playing New Zealand. Australia's playing Sri Lanka. It's all happening. South Africa playing. So we've got Australia versus Sri Lanka. We've got England versus New Zealand. We've got Pakistan versus West Indies. We've got South Africa playing India. All right, guys. Be happy. Stay tuned. Thank you. My birthday. I'm going to celebrate now. Ciao.